To order the meeting of the Select Board for February 5th. We will be going into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21. The board will be discussing the following: Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 28A1, discuss the physical condition of an employee, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline and/or dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. We will also be discussing United Steelworkers Contract Collective Bargaining Unit to conduct strategies, sessions in preparation for negotiation and non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Also to discuss the McBratney property lease, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting that may have detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body. And lastly, the town administrator contract to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. This meeting is being recorded. It will be a hybrid meeting as one of our members is ill and will be doing that by remote. Mr. Gracie will not be in attendance in this meeting as he is also under the weather. Chairman Tattlebaum will be on remote as vice chair. I'll be conducting the meetings, both executive session and open session. All votes will be roll call votes. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks. Any questions on the motion? Roll call. Ms. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
And the chair votes affirmative. We will be going into the executive session. We will return as close to 6:30 as possible. Call to order the meeting of the Select Board of February 5th, 2024. Please rise as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we have a moment of silence and honor our veterans, both here and abroad, and both past and present. Please remain, you can have a seat. This meeting is being recorded for DCTV for all eternity and for your viewing pleasure on Thursday and Sunday nights. We do have one member who will not be in tonight's meeting. He is still under the weather. That's Selectman Gracie. Selectman Tattlebaum is also under the weather. However, he is here remotely. He will be participating remotely, so therefore all votes will be done roll call. The warrant has been signed. 2 warrants have been signed. We have no appointments tonight. We have beginning new business. Under the first item under new business, we have the Veterans Advisory Board reappointment of Jason Ray. Is Jason here? No.
No, it's a reappointment.
Okay, it's a reappointment, so board's pleasure.
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Being none. Mr. Tattlebaum, vote.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Done. Second item on the agenda is Historic Commission appointment. Please excuse me if I absolutely slay your last name. Robert Mahold. Okay.
Come on up.
Come on up, Robert.
That's actually really close. Hold is my name.
There you go. Thank you. All right, so introduce yourself. Tell us why you want to
Sure. So,
subject yourself to tedious hours of voluntary board membership.
oh, it's voluntary? Oh. Well, I've been a Dartmouth resident for about 4 years now, and my wife's worked at St. Luke's Hospital for many, many years, and we love it here in Dartmouth. And so I'm on the Dartmouth Veterans Advisory Board as well. And in the civilian world, I'm a technology consultant for software companies mostly. But I own several homes, rental homes, and I greatly appreciate and understand some of the issues facing the Historic Commission. And I think I would be a really good addition to the board if allowed to serve.
Okay. All right, board members, any questions?
Motion to appoint.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks.
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Mrs. Brooks.
I'll go Ms. Brooks.
That's okay.
That way it upsets Bruce a little bit more.
All right. Stick it to him.
On the motion, any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you very much for your
Yep. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
I believe your first meeting is starting in the other room.
He has to be sworn in
Oh,
first.
he has to be sworn in. Well, you can look, you can watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the Recreation Center Building Committee appointments. And the first part is that we have Jim Vieira has been selected as the Parks representative for that committee. So right now, that leaves the Select Board appointee is Mr. Mickelson. The Capital Planning Committee is Chris Frias. Park Board is Jim Vieira. There are 3 at-large residents. The Finance Committee is not going to appoint a member, so I believe it's going to be, we're going to take that appointment and we're going to make a 4th resident large. So we'll have 4. But still kind of gives us a problem. We have some pretty damn good candidates here, so.
Just one item. You would need to vote to modify the charter to
Okay.
change the membership.
So do I have a motion to modify the Recreation Building Committee to remove the Finance Committee appointment and to add a 4th at-large resident?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Being none,
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
I was hoping to.
I think it's, the Finance Committee had a financial obligation to be on this committee, and they chose not to, and it's too bad, but that was their choice.
Yep, I'm not going to wait for them to figure it out, so we're just going to move on. So,
Agreed.
So any other further questions on that?
No.
Okay, on the vote, Mr. Tattlebaum,
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. Okay, so now we have the at-larges to take a look at. So we'll go by what's in my agenda. So the first person we have a letter from is Adam Mathis. Adam, if you can come up to the, kind of just give a, for all, everybody who's here, just introduce yourself. You don't have to tell us where you live, but we know you live in Dartmouth. Just let us know
Important.
why and what you can bring to the committee.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name's Adam Mathis, 40-year resident of town, lifelong, choosing to raise my family here, my wife and 2 young school-age kids, 5 and 6, kindergarten and first grade. I've been involved in recreation in some form or fashion most of my life. I've recently chosen to join the board at the DYAA as my son especially gets more and more involved. I see a need for recreation, not just for children, but for all of the residents in town. And honestly, my father set an example of giving back to the community, and it's what I'm hoping to be able to do here.
Terrific, great. Does any board member have any questions of Mr. Mathis? Okay, thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Christopher Garth.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you tonight. My name is Chris Garth. I've been a resident of Dartmouth probably since I was 6 years old. For most of my adult life, I've been a public school educator. I have experience working with children for the past 25 years. Recently, I've begun working in school administration, and I point that out because as someone who has worked on both sides of working with youth and community centers, the ability to see the needs from different perspectives, I think, is an important qualification to serve on this committee. When we're talking about building a facility, we often think about just playing games in the building, but we also, as a community, need to understand how to generate revenue from it, how to make sure that it can serve multiple constituencies, how it fits into the public's budget process from year to year, how it can evolve its process over time and adapt to the needs of the community as we go forward. I think my commitment to the town has been shown before. I was a co-chair of the Town Charter Review Committee at one point. I also have served on the school committee, and I've been a town meeting member for most of the past 20 years. I think my membership there is still valid. So I'll gladly answer any questions you have.
Okay. Board have any questions? Mr. Tattlebaum, any questions?
No, all set. Thank you.
All right. Sure. Thank you, Chris. Okay, Helio Rosa. Okay, Helio's not here. Okay. Next one over. Nathan Silva.
Good evening. I'm Nathan Silva. I've been a resident of Dartmouth since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. Did many youth sports growing up, and I've now got 2 daughters. One is 8 and one is 2. Both are going to be actively involved in sports, so that's sort of the future connection to it. My background is in construction management. I've had a 14-year career. I think that's where I can really help out this committee in the tasks that are set before it. I've put in over $1 billion worth of construction over the course of my career. Everything from small lab fit outs up to $400 million distribution centers. So that's what I have to offer the committee, and if you can use my help, I'd appreciate it.
Great. Board members have any questions of Mr.
Hang
Silva?
on.
Thank you.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Peter Pacheco. Peter's not here. Okay. Renee Gagnon, or Rennie. Rainey.
Rainy. That's
That depends.
the,
Sometimes I get yelled at when I speak to some of my Quebec friends, so.
well, yes, it's Renee, but, when you grow up in Fall River, they transform your name and it's Rainy. So I grew up in Fall River. I've been a Dartmouth resident for 9 years now, and I've also been in public education for 25 years at Durfee High School. I was also part of the planning committee for the new high school. I work in the career and technical education department, teaching graphic design, photography, video production, animation. I thought that some of my skills could be used in this process. Part of what brought me to Dartmouth 9 years ago was the recreation that I was part of. Countless activities. I was also a lifeguard at Horseneck Beach for 17 years. So the ocean, the kayaking, the mountain biking, the trails, the nature in general. The home that I live on now is where the old Children's Museum was located. And I continue to do some of the nostalgic things that they did on that property, including maple syrup, which is maple season right now. And yeah, I saw the ad on Facebook and I was like, why not? I'm about 3 or 4 years from retirement from the school system, and part of my journey after that is to continue my civic engagement in my town that I live in now. And I'm also a local artist, and I do shows at the Dartmouth Cultural Center, and I take part in local activities on the artscape. So I'd be happy to help out in any way I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Board
much.
members have any questions? I don't. Okay. Mr. Tattelbaum, any questions?
All set, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and last one is Scott Kelly. Hi, Scott.
Good evening. My name is Scott Kelly, resident in Dartmouth for about 8 years now. My wife was actually born and raised in the town. I have 2 boys, 13, in the town, heavily involved in sports through DYA. Also, you know, I've been a coach for both DYA and also Metro West. You know, and I definitely see the opportunity and need for some local playing time. You know, I see my team wear Dartmouth across their chest, and our home games are played in Tiverton, Rhode Island, which always seems kind of odd. So I love representing the town. I love the opportunity to, you know, represent a resident, a parent, a coach. My professional background, I have some corporate finance, not in the public sector, but in the private sector, focused really on expense management, you know, driving revenue and things like that. So it would be my first time serving in the public sector, so it'd be a new experience for me, but something I would really look forward to being more involved in my community.
Well, it's a good way to get your feet wet, that's for sure.
Thank you very, yeah.
Let's see. Anyway, board members have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, Mr. Tattelbaum, any questions?
I think that was I do not.
Okay.
Reading lips.
Did I see him shake his head? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's 4.
2 members, I'm not sure why, I know Melanie contacted everybody, so I'm not sure why they could not make it, but
Okay,
do you
well,
want to have them
2
back?
that
So we
couldn't
have,
make it.
so there's 3, yep, 2 that could not make it.
And
Okay,
Mr. McDonald?
Actually,
Can I make
yes.
one comment?
Yes, Mr. Tattelbaum.
We have ourselves a fantastic situation, the 6 really worthy candidates who want to help out the town. And no matter who we pick, there's going to be a couple of people who are going to be available, and we certainly would ask that maybe they can pursue another responsibility in town, and many committees available. Certainly thank you all for showing your interest in town and volunteering. Thank you.
All right, well, we have 7 candidates for 4 positions.
7. Excuse me, right.
So I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this under advisement, so I can myself kind of dig a little deeper. But I can tell you this right now, it's going to be a very difficult choice. Already, just looking at
Different perspectives that
yeah,
people are
looking at
bringing.
well, you want to get a good cross section of people and different experiences on these types of committees. But underlying, you want to have people who are committed to the town and committed to the community that they live in. And that's the first and foremost thing that I look at when it comes to appointing anybody to any kind of committee. I see that here, which makes it now even more difficult. Now the next part is taking a look at the experiences and how they can fit into the committee. And then after that, it's the desire. So it's, over the weekend, once I started looking at this, I just said, I'm in deep trouble. Literally, and this is not blowing smoke up everybody's butt. It really isn't. This is a very difficult choice, but because this is also a situation where the town it's not new for the town to build anything. We've done it. But the reason for the build is entirely brand new. So this is a project that needs to be handled correctly, proficiently, efficiently, and with all above, making sure that everybody sees the process, sees how everything is going to go through, and because there is a very high financial price to it. So, and the question is getting to that point, that has to be also discussed as we go along, even looking at everything. So I want to thank everybody who came in tonight. I appreciate the time you took out to come in to introduce yourselves. That does speak volumes. And also to the two individuals who could not make it tonight, I appreciate them submitting their names. We will have a definitive answer next meeting. We are meeting next week?
Yeah, a week from
Yep, okay.
tonight.
We meet,
Yeah,
it's
we
right,
meet
'cause
the
we're-
12th.
Because then it's President's Day.
Right.
Yeah, so we will have
The
the
26th.
appointments made it'll be on the agenda next week. We will be making those appointments next week, so thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
gentlemen.
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
Mr.
I
Chairman.
just want to add, and maybe it's not clarified, but this commitment will be at least as much as twice a month for maybe a year to a year and a half to even 2 years, but by the time we start and pick all the people and then monitor the project. So it is a substantial commitment, and the more time we put in, the better off the project becomes.
Yeah, and I can tell you as a member, as somebody who's been on 3 building committees in this town, yes, it does take a lot of commitment.
Sure does.
And-
And Dave and I were, I might say, on the committee to build the new police station. So
Yep.
we've got a bit of experience for sure
Yep,
with
So-
a high-ticket item.
yep. So I was on the library for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Library for 3 years, the high school for 3 years, this building for a year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah, it's a commitment. It's also fun. So that's what counts.
I was going to say,
So thank you very much.
Maybe starting to scare them
gentlemen,
away,
appreciate it.
Sean, so,
And we will let you know on Monday. Thank you.
Yep.
thanks.
Thanks again.
No, it's not necessary. Just deal with have a good supper, stay with your family, play with your kids. Trust
Maybe
me.
the last Monday
Yes.
you have.
It might be, right. It might be one of the few
you'll have
Mondays you
some-
have free.
You'll have some time in between, but not much.
Okay.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you. All right. Do I see him? Yes, I do. We're going to have a park director update from our esteemed,
Illustrious park director.
esteemed. No, illustrious, we say for the DPW.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
the
not
esteemed
illustrious.
park superintendent.
I'm Tim Lancaster. I'm the park superintendent for the town of Dartmouth, if you didn't know that. So Sean asked me to kind of come before you, kind of give you an update on what the plans are and what we're thinking moving into the summer. The park board has met and discussed some tweaks to our sticker program. I think that's what you're interested in. So I'll just give you a couple of stats, just so you kind of have an idea where we were. So last year we sold about 4,400 beach stickers, a little over 4,400 beach stickers. Of that, just about 3,500 were done online. We did a little over 300 through the mail, and we had about 600 that came in, in to get them on those couple of those in-person days. What you may, and I don't want to assume that you know more than you necessarily do, but, as you know, there was some concern over the in-person days and if we had them. What you may or may not know is that during that time, we had citizens that smashed on our counter, smashed on the plexiglass, lost their cool inside the office during those in-person days. And what we were hoping for, one of the reasons we were trying to move toward this online is, as you probably, I'm assuming know, is that when Becky became the program coordinator, we needed to get her out in the field, especially with today's society, to overlook the rec programs and things where our kids are involved with. And that has helped dramatically in how those programs operate. So it left kind of a vacuum in the office. And through multiple meetings with Mr. McGinnis, we pushed toward the online as a way to close the vacuum, because we know that you can't just replace Becky that easily. And jobs like that Becky does and that the office does, that's something you learn over years of doing it. It's not something you learn like that, and we say, here you go. So we had some concern with having just the kids in there by themselves, and that was the concern we had. Fortunately, Becky, on those in-person days, I kept Becky in the office so that she was there to assist with that, and was able to, deal with those customers. Even through the online system, you may have heard that, we had online threats that came in to the college kid that was doing the beach stickers. And we just don't stand for that. We had news agencies contact us regarding that. I actually tried to get them to come down to do a story on it, because once they realized what was going on, they kind of lost interest in the story. They were more on the fact that the town might have been giving someone a hard time. People left out some of that story. When I filled them in, I asked them to actually try to come down and do a story on, how the kids are being, received here. They lost interest, of course. But so, with that said, we know we had some hiccups, right? Because it was the first year.
Yeah.
We know that the mail system caused a lot of it, much worse than we had anticipated with the public mail system. So we've come up with some alternatives. One, our office will be open from 9 to 4 like it always used to be, starting on May 13th. Not to say that you'll be able to come in and just do things the old way, but we will have multiple kids in the office together. We're going to do the buddy system to try to give some strength in numbers, so that when Becky goes out, we still have multiple kids in the office. That's our goal. You'll be able to come in. There will be a station set up where you'll be able to fill out your sticker application and drop your sticker application off if you feel like you want to come into the town hall to do that. If you have an issue with filling out your sticker application, the kids will be trained to assist you in doing that. So you'll be able to leave it. The primary goal of those kids, obviously, is to still handle this rush of online and mail-ins and handle general duties that would become answering the phone, et cetera. The way it will be set up is there will actually be a counter at the doorway so that those customers come up to that doorway. They don't actually physically enter the office, and that's by design, so that those kids can lock down that office if they feel they need to. And that's our number one priority.
That's a terrible state of affairs, and that's appalling that our residents cause that level of grief to a department that's doing them a service.
To be honest, though, as bad as we might think that is, it's 10 times worse out at the sites.
At the gate, yeah.
So, it's much worse out there. However, we combat that a little bit through, one, both of us being in different locations at the time. Our own other staff members, our maintenance guys are out there moving around. It makes it a little more difficult to do that. The cameras at Round Hill help dramatically, and the park board has had a pretty much zero policy on allowing that. And when we can catch it on the cameras, we get some bad rap sometimes, and sometimes we don't on social media about when folks like to break the rules. But the park board is pretty much known as, we have rules, and those rules are there to protect everybody, and we enforce those rules. And sometimes people don't like the fact that we enforce those rules. Mm-hmm. But, if we didn't do that, that would spawn out of control and you'd have chaos. So we have camera systems in all the parks now. We're actually in the process of updating those so that we can get better license plate numbers on vehicles, which we can't really do right now. So that's on the park end. On the site end. So here in the office, what you will also be able to do, in addition to what I said, is that on Fridays, if you so choose, because we know that the post office is really the crux of the problem, is on Fridays you'll be able to pick up your stickers if you so choose. You can choose when you do your online, you'll be able to choose for us to mail them out like we did last year. You can pick them up on Fridays. You will, if you do it online, you'll get an email that will tell you when your sticker is available for pickup, so you don't come in on the wrong Friday. If you drop off your sticker and you want to use the sticker station, as long as we get it by Wednesday, it will be available for Friday pickup. Correct, Becky? Yes. If you get it Thursday or Friday, you drop it off, then it'll be available the following Friday. So you'll have that opportunity to come in and pick up your sticker in person, and you'll avoid that mail. And the mail, I mean, we just got back, I want to say it was in December, we got back a returned sticker in December that was issued, we sent out in July. So, I mean, some of these things got a little crazy. So, you know.
That's nothing that I have not experienced, trust me.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on the online, are you going to have a renewal process? In other words, you have information already for particular residents. So is that an opportunity so you don't have to go through the whole process?
So yeah, okay, I know what you're getting at. So you actually won't have to do the whole process, and Mr. McGinnis is going to know as much as me about this, but you're not going to have to do the whole process, because when you signed up to the Viewpoint the first time, you had to go and create an account, you had to put all your information in. And then if you decided to get a beach sticker, you would go into your beach sticker and you'd have to put all your information in. So as long as you've created your Viewpoint account, you already have 50% done. Now you just click on beach sticker, and you will have to update some of the information. Some, will, I believe, will be there.
Vehicle ID maybe.
You'll have to update that, and only because those things could change.
Sure.
So if you did the process last year, you're over 50% ahead going into this year. You know, and you know, it's not like when you look at the numbers. I mean, 3,500 people did it online, so we're getting that in that direction. And I think every year you're going to see more people do it that way, especially those folks that did it last year, because they
created the account.
They created the account. That's 50. Like I said, that's half the battle. So, but you know, we want to make sure that they can get their sticker, and that the mail doesn't hold it up, and that will create, you know, take care of some of the confusion. And we want to still be able to give those folks that may have questions the ability to come in, and if they, you know, the seniors, if they need a hand, the station will be right outside our door with big signs on the wall with 3 or 4 steps, very easy to follow, and a drop box for those folks that feel they want to still come in. And that way the girls, you know, if they have a question, the girls can try to answer that.
And that'll start May 13th.
That starts May 13th, right, Beck? Yeah.
But to get it online, when
you
can
can
we
start
start?
that March 1st. You can
March
start putting in
1st.
your information March 1st.
March 1st?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're doing that because we're going to try to get some of these high school, the high school kids in after school, and those March, April stickers will allow some training to go on here before we get into the real rush.
Just as we said last year, I know this happened, where people, you know, knew they were going to have a week's vacation, and the sun was out and decided they wanted a sticker. And I know some of the stuff that we saw on social media was those sort of last-minute need of stickers. And, you know, we've been talking, so we're talking about this in February. The groundhog, you know, said spring's early, and so we immediately think, when can we go to the beach? And it's amazing that I felt last year like we talked a lot about it at select board meetings. We had the ad on the front screen. I felt like we had all this information going out. There'd been so much talk, and then it was just floored me.
And we had a video, DCTV did a video with
Yeah.
Becky on the whole process of doing the online, so
No
we
matter
pushed
how
it
much
out.
you plan on things.
We pushed it out, and you know, we'll push it out again. It seems, you know, I think it is a learning curve, obviously. I mean, this is something new to the community that's done, you know, only had one way to get a beach sticker forever.
Right.
You know, so.
I mean, let's put it this way. You said you passed out about 4,400 stickers and about 3,300 used, so 75% using it online tells me, you know, a lot right there. And going forward, you know, having the stickers available on a Friday, because, you know, you cannot depend upon the mail at all. So having that available on a Friday is actually very reasonable, very accommodating. So because we know maybe Monday through Friday, they're not, but that weekend, they want it. They want to go. So,
The other thing that should be mentioned too is, and I know we have concerns for the seniors being able to do the online, but when we actually looked at the numbers, we issued 1,200 senior stickers. Year before last, we also issued 1,200 senior stickers. So we didn't drop off in that particular category tremendously. I'm sure maybe some folks became seniors over the year, and that number would have been a little higher maybe, but we didn't see a mass drop in the issuance of stickers on the seniors.
and if I'm not mistaken, too, the Council on Aging also helps them out.
Becky worked with Amy and Angela down there, and they were very instrumental in assisting those folks down there, as well as the libraries did as well. They also had drop boxes.
I mean, to me, it appears that we're doing everything to accommodate everybody as much as possible. We know we're going to get that outlier that's just not going to be happy. But one of the things that I can honestly say, the behavior of individuals that take it out on our town employees is not going to be tolerated. We don't tolerate it in the town's collector's office. We certainly don't tolerate it at the building inspector's office. We're not going to tolerate it at the park board office. It's just
Or
not
at the
necessary.
beach.
Or at the beach. Well, the beach problems are nothing new. It was there back in 1980 when I was a park commissioner. It's still there no matter what. The faces have changed, trust me, and probably relatives of those who did it back in the 80s. But
Whatever
it's
bad behavior is
changed.
not
Right.
accepted.
Right, it's not.
You just can't. I mean, these are high school kids, college kids.
And these are
They're
college,
not-
high school kids. They don't need to
correct.
be, they're just enforcing the rules that are there. How, you've lived long in this town long enough, you've gone to Round Hill long enough, you know the rules. Nothing's changed over a period of years. Everything's still the same. So, you need a sticker to get in. And we understand that, on busy days, that parking lot's gonna be full. Okay, we know that. First come, first served. That's why it's always been that way. So,
So can we go over the dates again? So everybody-
Sure. March 1st, we'll start the online, so we're giving folks that like to do that ample time they can do that whenever they want. And May 13th will be the mail-in, stop by here, fill out the paperwork. People will be in the office from 9 to 4, which was the hours we always used to have down there for
So
office
those
hours.
dates, everybody.
and we'll get the word out from our office too, so.
And I know last year you
Put it on the
you
board.
put something through the electronic backpack to all the families through the school.
Yep.
And I think that's a great way to get to them, so.
Terrific.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
All right.
What, before you leave.
Thank you both.
I know that our Round Hill Beach got quite a slam in that last storm.
Yeah, last couple of storms have not been
Yeah.
favorable to Round Hill. We did, a lot of erosion, lots and lots of erosion. I think probably as tall, I think it was over Becky's head, standing on the beach to the walkways. So that's, about 4.5 feet. So a lot of erosion. The beach did widen up even more. So we'll have, if you want to look at it in a good way, we'll have more capacity going forward for the next. No, the parking lot didn't widen up, but the beach widened up, so our beach capacity is greater. We corrected it, and we corrected it at the pathways. And normally Round Hill, over the course of the winter months, it usually corrects itself. So while it doesn't look too great right now, by mid-May, I think you'll see that the sand will start replenishing. It always fixes itself, and people don't necessarily see that at first, but I always tell them, don't worry, it'll fix itself. So we cleaned up the parking lot, because we had a lot of runoff into the parking lot right up the pathways.
Incredible.
Quite a bit. So I think we'll be okay by the time we get to beach season as far as Round Hill goes. So,
Great.
okay?
Good, thank you.
One last question on
Yes.
Round Hill.
Yes.
The road.
The road, yes. So.
I know we've talked about.
Yeah, Mr. McGinnis and I have talked about that. We really need the help of some other departments to kind of get that in the right direction, primarily conservation and DPW. And I think we're working toward trying to get that group together to see how we can move forward. That's a very tricky situation, the repair of that is going to be, because, there are a lot of issues surround the fact that we don't want to kind of
Disturb
trip
the
any.
marshes,
Well, we
yeah.
don't want to trip anything that could cause state intervention necessarily in Round Hill, and that one is very tricky. We have to really kind of all work together on that, because once we trip it, the state will have their hands in it, and we will lose a lot of control.
Right.
Yeah, so.
We have a lot of other roads to take care of also.
The other thing is, the person that we hired last year to rake the beaches, he's rehired again this year?
I talked to him, he's very interested in doing it, so
Terrific.
I think we won't have a problem with that.
So hopefully we won't get those.
That's what we're all hoping.
One more Round Hill question.
Oh, it's a big round hill day.
It's a big Round Hill day. I understand that the folks that ran the food truck last year have gotten out of the business.
That is correct.
So are you looking?
We are. So Becky and I just had this conversation today. This would be the year we would normally advertise for renewals anyway. So we will be probably in March advertising, but anyone that's may have an interest in providing that service should get a hold of us because we will. That one's a little bit tricky to try to find someone for, just because there was some requirements, certain food, we require hamburgers, hot dogs, and, it's not just an ice cream truck down there, so.
Right.
And I know we usually.
I know it was a luxury to have it, and I know that there are people that enjoyed it. I know that the Board of Health office does have a listing of approved trucks.
That's correct.
So hopefully someone on that list, or someone new, will want to do that.
Right.
Because
When
that is
we get
something
to that point, in
enjoyed.
fact, we talked that we usually reach out to the Board of Health and we'll throw out, make sure they're aware that this is available if they choose to bid on it, and put in for it, so.
So I can remember myself personally, I was the first food vendor to be on Round Hill.
Really?
I had a little hot dog cart. Not myself, one of the people that worked for me.
My sister worked for you.
That's right, a hot dog cart.
Wow, this is, whew.
It was Minucci's hot
Lane.
dog.
What year was that, Mr.
Oh,
Mickelson?
many, many, many years ago.
It was 1 year after the invention of hot dog, 1785.
Minucci's hot dogs.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
Things you learn at the board meeting is sometimes it's just absolutely fascinating.
Jones Beach, looking good. Playground is fabulous, and upon against it, it'll be ready to go.
I was talking, Becky and I were having this conversation, and I feel that the parks themselves, improvements we've done over the last 15 years even, have really set the park system to be good for like the next 20 years. Before, we're trying to clean up a lot of old projects that really needed some attention.
Well, it's appreciated. The new
great.
playground up in the north end of town,
Pickleball courts?
pickleball courts, outdoor, they were playing today,
They
They have a lot to be proud of,
but
really.
yeah, doing a great job.
Weather is not the problem.
Nope.
Those folks will shovel that if we have a blizzard tomorrow.
Yep.
And they'll play there. So.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tim.
One quick question on the pickleball courts over at
Yeah.
Crapo. The requirements with the court to the fences, somebody had sent me an message saying that they were too narrow, they were too close.
Right.
So the buffer at the end of the court, on the end of the courts all the way around is fine. It meets within the code. It's the same as the regional park. The inside, where we added a little fence to keep the balls from going back and forth, it's a shot fence. That brings the buffer outside the courts in a little bit. Okay. But had we not put that fence, it would really be unplayable because everybody's balls would be going into everybody else's court. So it is, but it's low. We kept it extremely low, but really, and we could not go further out into the parking lot to make those courts. If DY is listening, I stole 15 feet out of that parking lot already. If we went any further into the parking lot, you couldn't have parked 2 rows of cars there.
Right.
And we went right up to their backboard on the Crapo side. So we stole as much property as we could to make that fit. But, I think it's like 1.5 feet.
Well, the
or
courts are
something.
being used, so people
course
are
they
not
are,
really.
yeah.
They've made the adjustment to their swing.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, next item on the agenda, we have the DPW connection fees update and subsequent approval, maybe.
Good evening. Tim Barber, Department of Public Works Director.
Hi, Tim.
I'm here with, increasing fees news. So, typically, we've been raising rates to keep up with revenues in the water and sewer utility enterprise funds. So for the past 6 months or so, we've been looking at increasing some of the connection fees to sewer and water. And we did a large-scale comparison of various municipalities with comparable sizes and utilities to look at how they calculated their fees. And we realized that we were on the low end, and mostly the sewer connection fee range. And most of our fees were configured back in the late 90s, 98, 99. So I think it was time for some increases in those with all the inflation. So if you look at a residential connection fee currently costs $1,500, and it's been like that for the past at least 25 years. We're looking at increasing that fee on a tier structure. So if you have a water service size 3/4 inch or less, so it's typically a smaller house or a smaller parcel, older parcel in town. So that would be, the fee would increase from $1,500 to $2,500 per connection. For a 1-inch service, which any new house is typically connected with a 1-inch service, would be a $3,000 connection fee to the sewer. And then anything large, like an 1.5-inch service with a high demand, would be $3,500 per connection to the sewer. We've also had an II fee, an inflow and infiltration fee for residential connections at $500. That fee would not change. That seems pretty reasonable, and that would stay as a $500 per residential unit. Moving on to non-residential, we have a calculation based on an equivalent residential unit, and that's based on the estimated daily flows based on Title V flows divided by 330 gallons, which is an average 3-bedroom Title V flow. And that will give you an equivalent residential unit, which is multiplied by the connection fee, which is the 1-inch connection fee to $3,000. So right now, that fee is calculated and multiplied by the $1,500 fee. It'll be multiplied times the $3,000 fee. And then next we have, on the non-residential connection side, we have a 2-tiered II fees. There's an II fee 2.1, which had a range of 2,000 gallons to 10,000 gallons per day, which paid $5,000, and then it went down 10,000 to 20,000 gallons per day would pay $10,000. So that if you discharge 2,000 gallons per day of sewer, you're paying the same as a development that discharges 10,000 gallons per day. So we saw a lot of communities that actually charge by the gallon, and that's a more reasonable approach. So if you look at the 2,000 gallon per day discharge at $5,000, that's about $1.7 per gallon per day. And then the II fee 2.3 adds an additional $1.25 per gallon per day. And these were fees that were, again, formulated many years ago. So we're looking at, instead of the 2 tiers, having 1 tier and going from a combined of about $3 per gallon per day to a new fee of $5 per gallon per day. So that would be for any flows that are above 440 gallons per day, which is about a 4-bedroom house in Title V. So anything with the higher flow than that would pay the $5 per gallon per day, and anything with the lower flow than that would pay the $500 II fee.
Okay.
Any questions?
And you're the fire service connection.
I would say what you said makes sense. I'm not following it on the paperwork, I will tell you.
Yeah,
I-
the paperwork's
$5.
kind of a little confusing.
Yeah,
$5.
I understood what
If
you were
have
saying,
this-
but,
This page,
oh,
it's the
No.
Dartmouth
yes, we
utility
do.
fees.
It's, go down to page 25, Stanley.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
And then we have.
Now it makes
We
sense.
have a similar fee sheet with some blue highlights and yellow highlights on it.
Yeah,
That's it says 11824 as the update, so.
it's just reading these sheets, just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Those are just example calculations
Yeah.
that I threw in there.
It's like doing a Sudoku puzzle, just like,
Much.
I was trying to follow on that, and I was,
So on the right side of the utility fee sheet, it shows the residential fees, connection fees, II fees, and then it comes down into non-residential.
Yep.
yeah, because, I mean, to be on, this sheet here makes a whole lot more sense than the other one.
Absolutely.
Because it was like, yeah, no, I don't think we're
Right.
gonna go that high. So, okay, all right.
So
now,
what's the-
your
what's the
board
next-
has already approved
Yes,
these?
so I presented these updates, increases to the board, and the board approved these.
Okay.
Okay.
In addition to the increase in those fees, we also added a sewer capacity mitigation fee, which, we're having capacity issues at the plant. We're exceeding 80% in our BOD. And our flow fluctuates, above 80% sometimes as well. So for larger developments, mostly that, are non-conforming and that have increased BOD, we're looking at a sewer mitigation fee at $12 per gallon per day.
Okay. Okay,
$12 per gallon a day, yep.
makes it reasonable. I mean, the last time the fees were increased was like the 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's what he said, 98, 99. That's long overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have handled this a long time ago.
I mean, any municipality is hesitant to raise fees, for fear of the backlash.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done it in 20 years,
Yeah, and I'd rather see an increase in fees than the rate.
Right.
So where we can get it up front on the, these are one-time fees, but we'll get some revenue based on new development usually. So a lot of times, if you're in a residential neighborhood that has an existing betterment assessment, you're going to stay you're not going to pay a connection fee because your connection fee was built into that betterment.
Right.
So this is based on mostly new development.
Okay. All right.
And any developments that didn't have betterments and haven't connected yet.
Yep, so this was just an FYI, right?
Yes.
The fees,
Yeah, we don't-
no,
we
the
don't-
board should vote.
We don't
to
vote.
accept them.
We don't vote on it.
It didn't the,
You usually vote on the utility rates every year when they come to establish them. But the Board of Public Works has, but, I mean,
so it's just ratify the Board of Public Works vote?
yes.
Okay.
And then lastly, we also updated, so we charge a flat fee so our water fees, our water connection fees are pretty in tune with a lot of other communities, so we didn't see that we should raise them and go above that tier. But except for our fire connection fees, so we charge a flat fee of $2,000 per connection, whether it's a 2-inch or an 8-inch, So we saw some other communities actually charge per connection, which is based on the demand that system will have to supply in case of a fire. So we looked at the 2-inch, charging $2,000 for a 2-inch, $4,000 for a 4-inch, $6,000 for a 6-inch, and $8,000 for an 8-inch connection, one-time fee. So an 8-inch fire connection is going to be a really large development. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be using a lot of water.
yeah.
I mean, God forbid it, with the fire. All right, so I would need a motion for the board to ratify the Board of Public Works decision to update the
Changes.
utility service fees.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, terrific.
This is just, there's the MOA in there with the developer to show what the new fees are. So it's just an example.
Yeah, so
Okay,
that
so
was
that's
basically
example.
an
Okay.
example, yeah.
Okay, and this is the Ledgewood?
The MOA was
MOA?
for Fonts Corner Road.
Fonts Corner Road, okay, thank you. Yeah, guys, I see the name, so, okay, terrific.
Thank you.
One quick question before you leave.
Yes.
Can you give us a very quick update on the meter exchanges? Water meter exchanges?
So
Progress.
the cellular conversion, they're over 50% installed. The installer didn't have a large number of installers. I assume they've had a lot of other projects going on. So we met a few weeks ago, and they confirmed that they're adding an additional 2 more installers to the project to try to get this completed. The extended scheduled completion date is now July 1st. So, but we're hoping that it gets done before then. And our water division is also assisting. So, any residents that either have a problem with the private company coming inside their home, or if they haven't been able to schedule with the company, we've had residents reach out to the water department, and they're working with these residents to schedule their own installers to install the meters and let the construction company do the vast majority and not worry about the individual ones that they can't install.
And during the installation, if there's any concerns about the installation, they contact the water department.
They can, yes, absolutely. Yep, and the water department is always in direct contact with Bay State Wind Supply, who's doing the installs.
What are the numbers now? How many houses?
I think we're in the 4,000 range, 40, well, probably over 4,600 or so. So, and we have over 9,000 installs. So
Takes a long time, huh?
it does. It does, and they worked on the exterior installations, and then that goes a little quicker, where you don't have to actually get a scheduling to go inside a resident's house. But a lot of the interior ones, where you have to make a schedule, and the residents have to be home to let you in. So sometimes it's tougher to.
Typically speaking, once
Make
you
that
get
work.
access, how long does it take?
To install it. I think about a half hour.
Yeah, doesn't take long.
Well, seems,
Okay.
They were more accurate in showing up at the right time than any other utility company that gives you like that 5-hour window. They were sort of spot on.
Yeah. We'll be there between noon and 5.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Tim.
All right.
Board member have any other questions for?
well, I do.
No,
but-
thank you.
Okay. all
Have
set.
a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the EPA consent request at 52 Donald Street.
Yes, so Health Director Chris Michaud is here, just to give an update on kind of the cleanup at Bliss Corner, but the EPA is moving along very well with their cleanup, and we want to keep them moving. They've asked for consent to access the right-of-way along Donald Street. The board needs to take a vote to allow that, but Mr. Michaud is here, and he can update the board on kind of the EPA's work to date.
Okay, terrific. Hey, Chris.
And Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health, for the record. So I'll just be really brief with kind of recapping. It has been a while, but for some it doesn't seem like it's been that long. In July of 2018, 5.5 years ago, we encountered a situation at a property on McCabe Street that seemed isolated at the time. However, in the winter of that year, and as we moved into January of 2019, it became a full-blown investigation of Mass DEP. There were several public meetings in 2019. Mass DEP began testing in 2020. Actually, they began testing in 2019 in our right-of-way, some residential properties. They tested throughout 2020. In 2021, the EPA approved an action memorandum. That action memorandum was for the cleanup of 5 residential properties. Those 5 residential properties were the highest properties of prioritization by the EPA for the protection of public health. The original estimate on that action memorandum was $1.9 million. There was an amendment to that action memorandum for a 6th property, which was to provide for a staging area for the EPA within the immediate neighborhood for their working area. And the town of Dartmouth in 2022 also provided the police station as a working area for the clean material. Work continued through 2022, and in 2023, Mass DEP, as well as the EPA, continued testing. In 2023, the EPA requested access to the use of the police station for a full-use site. That site is in use today and through 2025, because what we know is that in their last amendment to the initial action memorandum, they approved more residential properties. So by the end of next April, they will have completed at least 12 cleanups on residential properties that will protect residents for generations ahead for the entirety of Dartmouth's existence. It'll protect children for the entirety of Dartmouth's existence, because what we know on so many of these properties, lead is the primary contaminant. And we know that lead has a dose-cause effect with children, which can be permanent. We also know that Mass DEP and EPA continues to express willingness to test properties. We know that in the winter and fall, just a few months ago, they were out testing. In their latest round of sampling, they moved one of those properties that was most recently tested to their next to-do list. So while at this time they're still working under their initial action memorandum, which will include the right-of-way which is before the Select Board this evening for a cleanup, we know that they're already talking about a future ahead. So with that being said, that this project is not going to be over anytime soon. There hasn't been a sunset to it. But they're working in a prioritization manner as people come forward to test their properties. So some properties may be falling to the back, and some may be moving up more immediately. So with that being said, we have an opportunity as the town before us to see our right-of-way on Donald Street to be part of the last amendment to the initial action memorandum, which in total is estimated to conclude at $6.6 million. That doesn't include the properties that they're talking about from our most recent round where one property has moved to the list, and they're already talking about doing additional properties. So this is a great project. It's happening for the protection of Dartmouth for generations ahead. The properties that they're working on, they're leaving in conditions that are far better. People are getting new fences, new driveways, sod, irrigation. They're doing extraordinary work, not only for the generations, but for the people that are living on these properties. And in one instance with this past summer, where they worked on a property of a real extreme priority that they took and put into its own work queue, they put the people up for several months at a hotel.
Wow.
Provided them with a per diem expense. And they actually performed work inside of the house. So this is extraordinary work that's happening. And I just wanted to take these few minutes. I know that it's part of the overall project, not part of the specific request, but we have a government agency with all the negativity surrounding government in today's day and age. The EPA and the DEP, are well deserving of kudos for their work. And, glad to see that they're not prematurely calling a finish line to this, that their need hasn't exhausted. And anyone that's listening tonight or, tomorrow, next week, if you live in the study area, you haven't considered testing, you attended one of those meetings in 2019 and you were ambivalent about having your property tested, we now know that There is a solution if things are warranting of remediation. So please contact Lori Williamson at Mass DEP. Contact the Board of Health if you don't know how to reach Mass DEP, and we'll gladly connect you for future testing.
Terrific. All right.
Having observed one of the sites last year that they were working on, they did a wonderful job, very thorough. And the clean site, again, very thorough. And having the EPA's portable truck on site for testing made the process far more easy for Dartmouth to go from start to finish.
Absolutely.
They were
Some of the
excellent.
associated regulatory testing, when we get into some of the PCB contaminated soil, that's when it gets a little bit problematic. That's why their work here is so instrumental, because this work is also going to tie in with a commercial site that has PCBs. And just the amount of testing that's required from a federal perspective is strangulating from a financial perspective. The only thing I'd like to lastly mention is that we did express a little bit of concern when they initially wanted to use the police station site. And they've done an extraordinary job managing that site with runoff catchment, working around our harbor master. It's really been refreshing to work in such a positive manner for not only intergovernmental, but also for the people, most importantly.
All right, what I'm going to look for is a motion to approve the owner consent for the property access for removal action for 52 Donald Street, and to authorize the town administrator to sign such consent.
Yep. So we will honor the EPA's request for access to 52 Donald Street.
So is that a
For
motion?
a right-of-way, and this is my motion.
Okay.
Seconded.
Second. Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks. All those, any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Ms. Brooks? Yes. Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. Okay. All right, so you get it, sign it, let it go. Here we go. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the town administrator contract. Okay, so we have met with Mr. McGinnis through rounds of negotiations, and we have a successor contract. The contract will begin July 1st, 2024, continuing through July 1st, 2027. It should be June 30th, 2027.
Well, it's just.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. One day is not going to kill us. Okay, and with this contract, it will also be the board and Mr. McGinnis will be working on goals for the coming year.
And years.
And years to come. So, and also want to thank the chairman for his diligence in getting this contract done by the board. So I believe I'll need a motion to approve the contract.
Motion to approve the contract for the town administrator, Sean
As-
McGinnis.
As submitted?
As submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, on the motion, is there any question? Roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay. Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have town administrator update.
Yes, so Mr. Barber talked about, you had questions about the water meter reading installation. Part of that project is a borrowing for the meters, so, and then part of that borrowing is a bond rating. So just the town has maintained its AAA bond rating for another year, so that's impressive in this climate. So kudos to everyone here involved. Another financial number, our estimated receipts through the first 2 quarters of this year are on target, so that's great too. Our motor vehicle excise revenues are right now $210,000 over last year, and our investment income, which has been really significant, is $317,000 over last year. So kudos to Gary Carrero and our treasurer for finding the right investments to generate that revenue. The Community Services Outreach Team participated in the Homeless Point in Time Count on January 24th. There are currently 24 to 26 homeless people living here in town, and that's 4 new since last year. This count is a national count that happens on this particular day every year. That helps to assess what services are needed in the community. It's important to identify people that are homeless, and also when they're out there speaking with these homeless individuals, they direct them to services and provide them with support resources. So it's a nice event, but it's unfortunate that there's people still living out that are homeless, but the team has done everything they can to really provide that support. The Recreation Center Building Committee was tonight, but we have closed off the Recreation Center RFQ, request for qualifications, for our owner's project manager. Those were due last week. We received 9 responses.
Nice.
So that's great in this market in particular, and so we're excited to start going through those once the committee is established. The Assistant Town Administrator, Chris Vitale, and I had a meeting with a representative from the South Coast Chamber of Commerce about the discussions of some economic development partnerships between the town and the chamber and renewing that. They've had some turnover at the chamber, so I think they're motivated to work more collaboratively, hopefully. But one item of note, they have 80 member businesses, 80 member Dartmouth businesses. So 80 businesses in town are members of the Chamber of Commerce. So as part of that, what we did was we talked about the communication survey we're currently conducting, and we've done our own outreach to businesses, but they sent an email to all their 80 members to ask them to also fill out the communication survey.
I received one today.
Oh, so there you go. So it's great. And then lastly, the broadband survey ends this Friday. Peter Chase was informing us today at department head meeting today that they already have nearly 1,000 responses to the survey. So that is great. And anytime we do a survey to get that many responses is significant.
Yeah, the actual number is 997. We need 3 more people.
Yes,
We got to get 1,000.
sure we will by Friday.
So let's get those. at least
Send
3
yours in
more.
5 more times.
I've already sent mine in. So
That is all I have.
terrific. Okay, old business.
This corner, Chris Michaud was here to
Look at that.
update you on that. Lake Nokichoke, no new updates. Municipal broadband, we just updated you on that. And Mass DP Title V amendments, no new updates.
Just one quick question on the Nokichoke on the property, the cleanup. Is the fence to the property supposed to be locked?
Wide open.
I'm not sure on the details of that specifically.
Okay, can you find out? Because
Yeah,
it's
too
open.
bad Chris was there. I'll find out.
Yeah, because it's
Wide
open.
open.
It's wide open.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the old business updates. Minutes, we have the minutes of January 8th.
I looked at them, they look fine, but.
They look
you
fine to me,
check it
too.
over. Motion to accept January 8th, 2024 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Tattelbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, select board updates. Anybody have anything for us? Okay. that's
I
it.
will,
I have something to say.
oh, Dave's got his hand up.
I don't see it. For some reason, the camera doesn't show his hand.
I'll put myself on mute, give all I have.
All right,
Go ahead, Mr. Tattelbaum.
that's okay.
Thank you. One comment on the opioid settlement. The town of Dartmouth certainly has a lot of money coming, as every town and every city and state does as well. Our focus is to try, and I'm speaking for myself, part of a group, but maybe Mrs. Brooks can add to it as well. If you're going to speak on this, Mrs. Brooks, I'm sorry if I'm going ahead of you, but our goal is to try to deliver services, of which we do not have a lot of services in this town, and to try to regionalize through the city of New Bedford and other towns so we can deliver services as opposed to doing studies and get help to people who need it, as opposed to trying to study what the problem is. So we're trying to work hard. We have one section with the city of New Bedford, and they too are looking to try to collaborate because they have a lot of services in the city which we can then use because they're mostly regional. So we're working on it, but not easy. A lot of different services, very complex. It's a terrible problem. It needs to be addressed as soon as we can do it, and we're going to do our best that we can to keep that project moving. Thank you.
Mrs. Brooks, you want to add anything?
I will add that I'm meeting with a small task force. We have a meeting next Wednesday. We're meeting once a month, looking at the overdose awareness event that we held at the stadium last August. We're looking at doing that again, and that's serving as a combination of connections to the greater New Bedford various sources of folks that are working together. So I'm hoping we'll get some more information, and we will be scheduling a DART meeting this month.
Terrific. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Tattelbaum?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Anybody
Nice
have
job,
anything
Mr.
else?
Pagano.
Okay, just one announcement that we have is the Veteran Services Office and the Dartmouth Veterans Advisory Board is extending an invitation to the members of this board to participate in the Dartmouth's 2024 Memorial Day Parade, which will be held on Monday, May 27th at 8:30. Of course, the parade, as usual, the parade will step off from the town landing at the bottom of the bridge and will conclude at the old police station. So we have plenty of time to let them know, but we will give them as to our participation and look forward to this event. If anybody have anything else?
No.
I was just going to mention that we are in election season here in Dartmouth, and we have until this Friday to pull papers if you're interested in joining any of the committees. I know Magnolia has put it out on Facebook, the different positions that are available. I find my...
But this is going to be a very busy election
It's
season
gonna be
because
a
we have the...
very busy year.
We have the March primary, which I believe is the 5th. Yep, that's coming up, the state primary.
And then the
Town
town
election.
election will be in April.
In April,
Second Tuesday?
first Tuesday of
First Tuesday in
every
the-
April.
First Tuesday of every April, and then followed by primaries in September, and then the general election in November. So busy, busy for the town clerk's office.
Very busy.
All right, anything further?
Motion
Do I have
to
a motion
adjourn.
to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs.
Mrs. Brooks, yep.
Okay, on the motion, any questions? Being none, Mr. Tattelbaum,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson. Yes. And the chair votes in favor. Good night, everybody, thank you.